Hello everyone and welcome to this live Q&A on LinkedIn. My name is Bastian Best. I'm a European patent attorney on a mission to help IP professionals upgrade their digital patents. And today I'm taking questions about AI patents. So while we are here waiting for people to join, maybe let's quickly look at how such an audio event works. Because this is actually the first LinkedIn live audio event I'm doing myself. So let's see how that goes. You should see an audio event window in your LinkedIn. And at the bottom bar, you should have an icon which looks like a raised hand. So if you click that, you do actually raise your hand. And I can then bring you up on stage and we can have a little chat if you want. So I see some familiar faces already in the audience. Great to have you here. Okay, so I think we have 46 people in the room, which is pretty amazing. But we can still do better. So what I want you to do is please click the share button, or there is a button which should say invite in your window. And maybe you send this event to, let's say, 3 of your contacts who could benefit from tips and tricks about AI patents, okay? Sharing is caring, so thank you very much. Okay, so before we dive into the Q&A, one housekeeping remark. The audio of this event will be recorded, and I'm going to put the recording on my podcast. So it will be available online for everyone for all eternity. And if you want to ask a question but don't want to appear on the recording, just tell me and I will cut your audio out of the recording. Alternatively, you can also send me your questions in a direct message here on LinkedIn and I will read it out without revealing your identity. Okay? So with that being said, we are 54 people in the room. Which is amazing. So let's kick off this Q&A session about AI patents. So please feel free to raise your hand and ask your burning question if you have one. Otherwise, I would say if there are no hands at this time, I'll just take a question I got by email before the event to kick it off. So the question was, when, where, and how does AI play a role in inventions today? And well, of course, that's a great intro question because from my perspective, AI is basically everywhere in the innovation and in the invention landscape today. So maybe first let me clarify what I mean by AI inventions anyway. So most AI-related inventions I'm seeing in my day-to-day work as a patent attorney are about AI that runs inside the product. But I've seen, on the other hand, hardly any cases yet where a company tried to patent something which was created by an AI. That's an important distinction. So in other words, in the cases I'm dealing with primarily, the AI does not create inventions, which are then patented, but the AI is a building block within the invention. And I mean, we all know that AI is an enabling technology like for virtually any industry. So just some examples of clients of mine where the engineers use AI and machine learning are, for example, let's say AI for predictive maintenance in factories, to think about the packaging industry. AI for optimizing circuit layouts in electrical control cabinets. AI for improving the image quality in cameras or in microphones. That would be the sound quality, of course. AI for smart electric toothbrushes would be another example. AI for discovering new drugs in the biomedical field. AI for adapting, for example, the touch screen of your smartphone to your individual movement patterns. That would be an example of a consumer product. So AI is used in practically every industry I can think of. And of course, companies want to monopolize the unique way how they use AI in their industry. And that's what most of the patent applications I'm seeing are about. Not so much about artificial inventors, machine inventors, but about inventions that involve AI as a building block. So I hope this answers the first questions. So you can raise your hand. We have 71 people in the room. I hope this works. So there is one hand. So let me see. I think I put you up on the stage. I think you can speak now. Zanas, hello. What's your burning question?
Hi, Bastian. How are you doing? Thank you so much for arranging this live session. Good to hear you. So my question, as you mentioned, that most of the products are AI assisted or AI generated by AI, but because we are doing this policy work and working on the AI and frontier technologies, my question is. Would you see as a patent attorney with technical background upcoming days or months where AI would take over? You know that we're all scared of this stage. And recently, that the Federal Patent Court of Germany also issued a ruling that, like, because most of jurisdictions are considering human factor in AI inventions, but would you see the day that it would be only AI? And also, because we have this policy work, would you see the day that the patent system would provide some sort of protection to AI inventions? Because it's not the case at the moment. Thank you so much.
Great question, Salas. Yeah. Okay, and a very current one. Yeah. Okay. This goes again back to this idea of what happens if an AI creates something which is then patentable, which can then be a patent be filed for the output of the AI. So my take on the matter is that I think that this actually happens a lot, but we don't really notice from the outside, because the funny thing is that, I mean, for example, AI and machine learning models are used, let's say, in medical technology today all the time to go through gigabytes and terabytes of, I don't know, DNA screening data, and to figure out new kinds of drugs for certain diseases. So here, AI is used already by companies to, for example, develop new drugs. And once they've found a good drug by help of the AI, the company would then file a patent on the new drug. But in that patent application, they don't have to mention how they came up with the invention, because I mean, in patent law, the requirements are basically only that what you want to protect has to be novel and inventive, and it has to meet certain patentability requirements. But the way how the invention was made, so to say, is not a requirement in that sense. So, in other words, a long story short, if you have an AI and if that AI invents something for you, you as a human can file a patent application without saying that the invention was made using AI. And I think this happens all the time, probably today already. But yeah, we won't notice from the outside. On the other hand, of course, there are these flagship cases, you mentioned them, where the AI system was then also mentioned as an inventor, as the only inventor in the patent application. And then, of course, it becomes public, and then the patent office has to decide what to do with that. And here, those are the famous Darbus cases. Darbus is the name of the AI system. And here, at the moment, basically, I think all patent offices around the world right now take the stance that the inventor named in a patent application has to be a human being. So, but that's a whole different story, what that means, and if that is good or bad, or if we need to change the patent system. My personal take is that I don't see a practical reason too much why it would be necessary for a company to name the AI as an inventor, because, as I said, the company can get a patent on the AI-generated invention. Anyway, if it's inventive, they can get a patent. Because there was also some human probably involved who prompted the AI, who trained the AI, and those would be co-inventors at least. So you would have a human inventor all the time. And on the other hand, I don't really see a benefit for the company to name the AI as the inventor. That's my take. So I hope this answers your question, Sanas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool, perfect. So do you have any other questions?
No,
80.
I don't want to take the session time.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I will just raise my hand in case. Thank
cool.
you.
Then I think I can move you back to listening. Okay, and now we have 85 people listening. So if you have any further questions, just raise your hand. In the meantime, I can take one of the questions I got recently from a talk I was giving. I think this was from one of the WIPO conversations about patenting AI. And there, this is kind of a technical question. The question was, is there any change to the approach taken so far about linguistics and text mining? So that's more a question for the patent nerds, so to say. Short answer, I don't think that there is a change yet, but things are starting to move. But maybe for the broader audience, what are we talking about anyway? So the question of what qualifies as a technical application of AI. In Europe, only technical applications of AI are patentable, and therefore this is a very important question. What qualifies as a technical application as opposed to a non-technical application? That's right on the borderline when we look at AIs for classification tasks, so AIs which classify data into one of multiple buckets, so to say. So one example is, for example, image classification, where you would have an AI which tells you if there's a cat in the image or not. And this image classification, this is a technical application of a classification algorithm, and you can get a European patent on it. Another example is on AI-enabled spam filters. So Microsoft filed a number of European patent applications for spam filters, and these were all refused because the EPO says currently that classifying emails based on the content, based on the text of the email, is not a technical purpose, but a linguistic one. So no European patents for text analysis. And then here we have it. An AI is patentable if it classifies images, but it is not patentable if it classifies text. And now this discrepancy has received much critique in the past, and I was recently talking to one of the Board of Appeal members, and he said that the boards are themselves actually some kind of uncomfortable with the situation, because, I mean, in reality, sometimes you could even use maybe the same neural network. You just really put images in there, then it would be patentable, and you put text in there, then it would not be patentable. That's kind of strange, even for the Board of Appeal members, and they are now starting to think about how to evolve the case law here. That's what I've heard. So as I said, I think things are moving, starting to move here, but I'm, on the other hand, not aware of any Board of Appeal decisions yet, which would really take up this point specifically. So, which means, yeah, it's basically up to the applicants to take cases on appeal, to give the boards of appeal material to work on that issue, right? Okay, so a quick reminder, this is a Q&A, so if you have any questions, raise your hand, I'll bring you up on stage and we can have a little chat. In the meantime, another question I got recently from one of my talks is that the question if it's necessary, or to what extent is it necessary to disclose the training data in a patent application to fulfill the criterion of enablement and disclosure. And that's also a hot question, hot topic nowadays in the AI patenting field. A general rule is that, of course, generally speaking, in European patents, you have to disclose at least one way how to carry out the invention, how to build it in practice. Now, what if one of the steps in the invention uses a trained AI model? What do you have to disclose? And here I had a discussion with an EPO examiner recently, and he told me a good rule of thumb. He said that, well, it depends on the following. If a known AI model is used for a common task. For example, if you use, let's say, a convolutional neural network for image classification. Convolutional neural networks, CNNs, are really the best practice kind of machine learning model for classifying images. If you use that, the person skilled in the art knows how to do that. And you need not disclose training data. On the other hand, if a very special AI has been developed to do something uncommon, you better disclose the training data and also probably the structure of the AI model. So an example would be, let's say, an AI that predicts the aortic pressure from a measurement of the pulse on the wrist. That's actually one of the first AI-related Board of Appeal decisions. There's a separate video on my YouTube on that. So in that case, there's a special kind of neural network which is used in a kind of an uncommon scenario, and one would ask oneself, now how can it be that if you measure the pulse on the wrist, and how can you infer from that the aortic pressure? How can the AI do that? So in those kinds of inventions, of course, you have to reveal the training data and how you trained it and how you build up your model, because it's not common sense. So rule of thumb, the more unique the AI is, the more you need to explain it. I think that's in essence self-explanatory. There's a trick, a pro tip, specifically with AI. So in Europe, you need to disclose one way of carrying out the invention. That's not necessarily the perfect way. So probably you may know what I mean. Okay, we have Jörg Krebs raising his hand. So hello, what's your burning question?
So now hopefully you can hear me?
Yes, perfect.
My question would be, do you think AI might become part of the prior art discussion, so that when you use a commonly AI to come up to an invention, that will be raise the inventiveness? So would the examiner think the AI might be part of an expert team, so that if it's commonly used in the future?
Yeah, that's also an interesting question. Yeah. I probably think, I would think yes. Because the person skilled in the art, it's this strange fictional person, right? Who knows very much, who basically knows every publication in the relevant field, even in multiple fields if it's a team, but is not really creative, him or her or itself, right? Because it always needs an incentive then. But he has a very, he, she, it has a very, very broad and comprehensive knowledge. And now, on the one hand, I think what could happen is there are already tools out there which artificially create prior art. So there is, for example, this website, I don't know if you know it, it's called, I think it's called allpriorart.com. That's from someone who wrote an AI which just reads patent documents from, I don't know, Epoline or some public, Espasnet or some public database, and that then creates artificial abstracts that sound like from a patent application, and does that on large scale. So it can create, depending on if the person running this website had more hardware, it could create maybe millions of patent abstracts per day, right? So it creates, it publishes that on a blog on the internet. So it creates prior art. Those abstract don't make sense from a technical point of view mostly, but hey, on the other hand, if the AI gets better over time, maybe that will change. So my point is, on the one hand, AI could be used to create more prior art, also in this artificial sense, also in a very practical sense. We have the let's say exploding patent filing numbers from China, for example, and with AI-based machine translation, of course, all of these publications get readily accessible to examiners also here. So in a very practical sense, AI here widens up the base of prior art, so to say. And then the third point is, coming back specifically to your question. Of course, I think if you go back to this example where medical companies use AI to develop new drugs, assuming that this is common sense today, then I think it would only be logical to say that the skilled person has this capability. And maybe 20 years ago, when you had to manually go through, I don't know, millions of gene sequences and try to figure out I'm not a chemist, so bear with me. But if you would have had to figure out manually which are the winning substances, so to say, you are looking for, that would have been an invention. Today, if the skilled person routinely uses tools to do that, then maybe it's not inventive anymore. That would be my take. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Prior art search is a little bit complicated now before going for a patent application.
What do you mean exactly?
When you have to consider all the results from a certain or very common used AI
Mm-hmm.
in the future.
Maybe you can use AI to analyze the search results then. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So we have someone else. I'm only seeing your first name, Bernhard. So I'm putting you on the stage. Hello, what's your burning question about AI and patents? Bernhard Lorenz, now I see it.
Yeah, it's me, Bernard. Hi, Bastian. Actually, I have a colleague here with me, Stuart, from the US, and he would like to ask a question.
Perfect.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, perfect.
So you mentioned early on that AI seems to be in everything these days. If you have an invention that takes conventional AI techniques and combines it with a conventional widget, like a microphone or a remote control or any object, how would you go about evaluating the inventive step if you think that it may be inventive to combine what's conventional in AI with something that doesn't typically have AI in it?
I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, just thinking aloud here. I mean, in the end, in Europe, what you always need is, yeah, you have to provide a non-obvious solution to a technical problem. So, and in computer implemented inventions, as we call them, or in, let's say, software-based inventions at the EPO, this always boils down to the question, what does the AI do? What is it used for? And so if it just put it differently, the fact the fact that the AI model uses some kind of IT component, like some kind of technical device, like a microphone or a speaker or a CPU for that matter, that alone doesn't make it technical. That doesn't meet this technicality requirement we always need at the EPO. But we really need to solve a technical problem, and that then really depends, in your example, of, again, what the AI does. If it, I don't know, takes as input from the microphone speech and then synthesizes it into text, that would be a technical problem to be solved, maybe. Things like that, right? But it really then depends on what the AI does and how it operates. Did I get your question correctly?
Yeah, and follow up, it seems like the answer might change over time, like you mentioned with the earlier question, that if your patent application was filed long ago, it might be a little bit easier to prove that when AI was not known for solving all problems.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's with basically the same as in all, let's say, new technologies that come up. Of course, in the beginning, you can, if you're quick, you can try to get like, you know, broad pioneer patents. And then as technology evolves and as the technology becomes more and more common, yeah, you can only fill the remaining gaps, I guess, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, so no raised hands. We're also almost half an hour in, so let me address one last question, which is a very practical one. which I also got. Oh no, there are raised hands. So let's see, so that we don't miss anyone. So we have Angelika. I only see your last name abbreviated in my window, so sorry. What's your burning question? Hello.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a kind of IE question. It's about quantum computer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the first question is, do you have any experience about claiming stuff about quantum computer and not the quantum computer itself, but using the quantum computer as an optimization tool? For example, D-Waves is very experienced in this, and they have all patented the field of minimization. And now the only thing that is left is the specialized things, for example. And this means you have a lot of mathematics
Mm-hmm.
in the invention or in the claims maybe itself. And I would like to ask how to do this. For example, putting the mathematics into the first claim,
Mm-hmm.
because all other thing, it's already well known that you can use a quantum computer as an optimization tool.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the D-Waves company. And that would be my question, if you have any experience with that stuff.
Mm. Not so much specifically with quantum computing, but I have quite some experience with, let's say, inventions which involve heavy mathematics, for example, in the field of cryptography, blockchain, things like that. That's when you talk to inventors, it's also all about mathematics in the end, right? Because encryption, decryption, that's all mathematical algorithms and very symbolic math for that matter, which is really hard to get one's head around in the beginning. But anyway, so maybe here as an analogy, so for me always the real challenge in those mathematically heavy inventions is really to get the inventors to crystallize or to generalize out the inventive essence, right? Because I noticed that recently when I was talking to a team of inventors in a cryptography related invention, and I always they of course they provided me with an exact formalized mathematical proof of the invention, right? All in beautiful math. But of course, my task as patent attorney is not to put the formulas into claim one. That was part of your question, I think, because I mean, of course, then that is so exact that any competitor could easily work around such a claim by just changing a little component. So my task as a patent attorney is to find the let's say the functional inventive core in that invention and to formulate that in plain language. That can be arbitrarily difficult in mathematical inventions. I think that's probably as difficult in quantum computing inventions as in cryptography inventions. And then one challenge I had with that particular set of cryptographers was, I only realized that recently, was that I always ask them, okay, now we have this beautiful mathematical proof, you wrote it down wonderfully, but we need to generalize the invention. And then they always said, well, okay, we can generalize it not from data sharing to, I don't know, information sharing in general. And they always stayed at the mathematically precise level because they have a different notion of generalization. For them, it's just generalizing from the particular use case their product has. And what I meant by generalizing was really to abstract from the exact mathematics and go up to a more fuzzy, in that sense, functional description. So does that make sense in your scenario?
I had a lot of invention in blockchains too.
Mm.
It was no problem to put this away from the mathematics.
Mm.
But with quantum computer, it's a little bit different because it's exactly it's the invention
Yeah.
to formulate the problem for a quantum computer.
Mm.
In quantum computer, if you have if you use it as an optimization, you have both. You have first of all you have the normal computer.
Mm. Now I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I say it now in German, eine Energielandschaft initialisieren. That's the big problem. And then you have to do this with the normal computer and with the mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to get away from the mathematics. It's for in blockchain there wasn't a problem about this. In no other software field I had this problem.
Well, maybe maybe that's really difficult to answer in the abstract. But on the other hand, I mean, last remark maybe on that. I mean, if the mathematical way of formulating it is the only way, I mean, then what speaks against putting it into the claim? Because then there wouldn't be no reasonable workaround for anyone if it's the only way, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But as you see, I mean, things are always individual. Yeah, you would always have to look at the individual case, probably. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
So, thank you very much. Okay, so I'll move you back to the listening audience. So we have 2 more hands raised, but I'm really sorry. I promised myself to be on time, and I wouldn't want to be longer than half an hour. So I would really ask you to maybe save your question, send it to me afterwards, so we can have an offline chat. As you can see, there's lots of interesting questions when it comes to patenting AI. We could talk for hours. So yeah, probably we should do this again, I guess. So let's wrap this up for today. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A as much as I did. If you want to recap some of the things we've been discussing today, watch out for the recording on the podcast. And of course, also please tell your colleagues about this. And I hope to see you again when you join me next time for another LinkedIn Live. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.